Hello, everyone. How's it going? How's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the Cris P Show. Of course, Cris P over here. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. And today we're going to have a beautiful show. We're going to talk to one of my favorite people in the soccer world just because, not only because he knows a lot about the sport and everything that goes into covering the game, but also he was one of the first few people that I actually interviewed when I started covering soccer myself. So he was gracious enough to see this guy with like 2 followers, and he was like, "I'll get on your show." So, with that being said, I think we kind of established a little relationship, a friendship, and it's been going great ever since. I've seen him a bunch of times, and I saw him here in the World Cup, covering the World Cup here in Houston, and I think he's going to be a great guest to kind of share his story and also kind of tell us where he thinks soccer in the United States is going. But before we get into that, let me just remind you guys to go ahead and follow Bayou City Soccer. Obviously, this is the platform where we are on. So if you guys haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, you get into it and listen to all the episodes. Remember to check out the website, BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where we have everything and anything that is related to soccer here in the city of Houston. And of course, we have, the Dash podcast, Orange and Blueprint, where we cover all the Dash, and then our Dynamo podcast on Mondays after Monday nights as well. So with that being said, thank you guys for joining us again on this Cris P Show. And like we always do before we start every show, something that I like to do is read a psalm, because faith is a very important part of my life. So why not read a psalm and just kind of start the conversation with something beautiful. So we're going to read Psalm 51:10 to 13, I believe. It's just a little quick one. So it says, "Create in me a pure heart, O God, and renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast from your presence. Do not cast me from your presence, or take your Holy Spirit from me. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, and grant me a willing spirit to sustain me. Then I will teach transgressors your way, so that sinners will turn back to you." So just a little bit about that is basically saying, he's the psalmist, which is David in this case. He's talking to God, and he's just basically, God, I want to, have a good relationship with you. And then hopefully with that, people will see how me and you are close, and then hopefully they can learn from that, and hopefully they can also have a relationship with you. So that is something that my life is kind of, I want to do with my life. So I thought it was a very good verse to kind of bring to you guys. But with that being said, I think we're going to bring our guest in. He is awesome. He's great. Like I mentioned before, he was one of the first few guests that I've ever had when I first started podcasting. And like I mentioned before, I think on the show, he's a young guy, but I think he has a really, really bright future when it comes to media and the sports world. And I'm very excited to have you guys listen to him and to get to know him a little bit better if you don't know who he is. Just because you guys will see him in the future. So it's going to be awesome to kind of look back and be like, oh, I know that guy. He was on the Cris P Show. So we'll bring him in. Riley James, all the way from LA, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Not LA, the other one. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much for the kind words that you've said so far. And you mentioned that I'm young. I thought I was young. In my mind, I'm young. When I do activities outside, I think that I am young. But I'm reminded how old I actually am when I talk to Juan Pereira of Bayou City Soccer, who is a literal child.
That is a young man right there, for sure. It is crazy because now that you mentioned him, shout out to Juan Pereira. He is so young, and the way that he like expresses himself, sometimes you're like, man, this guy's old. And then you're like, he's 18 or like 19. And it's wild, but the dude is very smart. Also, I think he also has a bright future, and I think he's going to do great. But shout out to him. But Riley, you were talking about your body. I know that you bike a lot. Tell me a little bit about that. Let's start there. Because I know I'm the same. I started running, and it hurts every time I go out and run. But how do you feel on those bike rides? Because I know you do a long distance.
Yeah, so I actually only ride a bike because of 2 reasons. One, I had some major injuries in high school playing this lovely sport that you and I both talk about. Had an Achilles injury, had another thing with the cartilage in my heel, where it's just brutal injury. Didn't walk for about 9 months after that. Didn't run or was cleared for
Dang.
any activity for about 13 or 14 months after that. Just awful, right? So as I get up there in age in my mid-20s, it hurts anytime the weather slightly changes outside. So I can't really run anymore. So I bought a bicycle in 2021, and we've been setting goals at the beginning of each year, and we've been hitting those goals. I hit 3,500 miles last year over the course of the 12 months, and we were able to do it with a couple weeks spare. So I had a guilt-free holiday season.
There you go.
Enjoyed Christmas dinner with a couple extra helpings along the way, and over the course of December 26th and 27th and 28th and into the new year. So it was really, really fun to get into cycling, because it's a great way to see my community. And I really, like, when I did run, I got really bored very quickly, just because I wasn't going that fast, and I was seeing the same stuff over and over again. So a bike allows me to be a little bit more exploratory of where I live here in Lake Charles.
Nice. Is it so I'm kind of in the country in Texas. Is it country where you're at? I've heard of Lake Charles a lot, but how is it over there?
So I live in a suburb of Lake Charles.
Okay.
So it's like this weird mix of like rural. That's a weird word anyways. Rural and suburbia, where like there's like these subdivisions of really safe places to ride, and I pop in and out of those. And then I'll go on a stretch where I see a house, maybe, one house a mile, and it's this long stretch. So you have a wide array of scenery to go and be in, which I like to say. And as we've hit, I mean, you live in Houston or around Houston, so we have a very similar climate. Yeah, it's hot, so I'm not going very far these days right now. But once we hit October and November, I'll start stretching it out to 40 and 50 miles. Right now, it's like 10, 15, 20.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's just sweat coming off my helmet. It's a nightmare. Wear your helmet, children, by the way. That's a good thing. Protect your brain. Safety first.
Do you use any apps or anything like that where like you can connect with people and they can see your miles? Like
I'm on Strava. Yeah. I'm the most boring person ever on Strava, but I post there like 3 or 4 times a week when I ride. Nice. And you can see if I had a bad day with time, or if I'll tell you if I have a good day. I'll tell you if it's quick or not. But I'm on Strava. Riley James, I think, is the thing. Nice. It's not like Twitter where I know my handle, right? Yeah, exactly. Promote stuff.
Well, we do have a Bayou City Soccer Strava group, so if you want to join, go ahead. And we have I think like 6 or 7 people in there, so it's just it's another way to form community. So we thought about, hey, what about building a community in trying to be healthy too. So we started that as well. So if you want to join and also see how many. How long it takes me to run a mile and laugh. You can go on there as well.
Dude, running a mile is hard. I don't care how long it takes anyone. It's hard.
It's hot.
I wouldn't run a mile very quick these days.
You literally have to either wake up super early or like run super late. Like that's the only way.
Yeah, and I'm not about waking up early. So we're gonna do it like around this time where we're doing this at 9 p.m.
Prime time when people go to bed. So Riley, let's get into your story a little bit, man. Like we mentioned, you are really young. How old are you right now?
I'm 25. I'm about a month away from being 26.
There you go. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
So you still have a whole life ahead of you. But let's get into your journalism life a little bit before we get into your World Cup story and how you lived this World Cup here in your home country, which I'm sure you had a lot of fun. Just tell me a little bit about. Hopefully, I don't know.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Tell me, when did you, as a kid growing up, when you're like, man, I think I want to cover sports, or I want to do something in media, or where was that spark for you?
So it was Super Bowl 43. I remember very specifically. It was on NBC. It was Al Michaels. It was John Madden. It was actually their last game together. I'm a big American football guy because, I grew up in Louisiana. College football is a massive thing down here in the South, as it is in Texas. I'm sure you become accustomed to that. It matters a lot. It's the biggest thing that we have, and it's the biggest thing that we offer to the rest of the world is American football. So obviously, that's my biggest experience. So watching the Super Bowl, Al Michaels, John Madden, two guys I respect immensely now, but I saw them and they're wearing suits and they're talking on TV. Like, that's a big deal. It's like, so I looked at my dad. I'm like, who are these guys? And he was explaining to me the history of that type of thing and the significance that job has working for one of these big four networks. And I was like, I want to do that. And I'm 8, I think when I say this, 9 maybe. Crazy. And he's like, yeah, cool. Let's, you still have a long way to like, develop and be a human being first and grow into an adult. So let's kind of lock that away and store. But I've always had that in my mind of, I want to play sports. And once I figured out I'm not very good at that, let's talk about sports because it's better than having a real job. So it was really this defining moment watching Super Bowl 43. It was the Cardinals and the Steelers and how that game unfolded anyways was one of the best Super Bowls of all time. And just to hear their excitement in the voids and how they portrayed it to the rest of us, the 100 and so the million people that watched it on NBC, like to be able to tell a story of that significance in this country appealed to me in a very, very fundamental way in 2000. And I believe that was 2009. February of 2009. So I was 8.
I was graduating high school in a few months after that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Well, don't ask what Juan was doing because I'm sure he was in diapers.
He was being born, alive. He was being born. That's crazy. But man, that's awesome. That's a great age, I think, to like that's like prime age when kids start dreaming, right, about what they want to do, and it's kind of cool that after all these years, you're still in it. It's like the dream's still coming true in a sense.
I'll tell you this another thing too, because before we move on, this is gonna also age me a little bit too. I grew up with a show on Nickelodeon called iCarly. And like, it was Nickelodeon, Disney Channel. I went through that little stage as well. I mean, I was watching SportsCenter from 4 years old on. But I wanted some like kid entertainment, I guess. And it was appealing to me, and Disney and Nickelodeon did a great job marketing that stuff. But iCarly was a show about a show on the internet, which I thought was fascinating, right? They don't play by any rules. They get to make it themselves. They produce it. They do the whole thing. And I looked at my mom at like 12 or 13. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to make a show on the internet. And I got to 16 or 17, which I'm sure we'll talk about that in a second. But like, I was doing that without realizing that I had said that and that I was actually doing that. And that's another cool thing, man. It's what they talk about in women's sports all the time. If you can see her, you can be her. Yeah. It's a real thing. If you could see something happen for someone else, that's now a real possibility for you, as long as you work very hard to be able to make it happen. And I've done my best to be able to say that no one has worked harder than me. And hopefully that remains to be true. However good or bad I might be at this over the next couple of years.
It's funny you mentioned iCarly because it's now that we look back, right, such a visionary like show in a sense, right? Yeah. This whole like internet, right? I feel like that's when the internet, that's where the internet was like coming on, like on to the scene in a way, social media and all that. And well, obviously you're a little bit younger, but tell me about that next step. Coming into your teenage years, and you're like, you know what? Let's get something together. Let's put on a show. What were your first shows about? Like, what sports were you following? How was that?
So I'll say soccer was the entry point for me, right? To do sports and do sports on a level that I thought was worth my time, right? Because I didn't want to just talk into a microphone to no one. I wanted this to be a significant portion of my time that was going to something that I think was going to lead me to where I wanted to go, which is one of the big four networks. Yeah. I had this insight at like 15 years old thinking about this. Because like I said, all I've ever wanted to do was this. So there wasn't really another option. I've never looked at a second career path other than, of course, playing professional football. But I was never going to be 6'3" starting for the Tigers on Saturdays. So that was out, right? We're going to throw that one away. That's not my fault. That's genetics. I blame my parents.
That's just the way it happens.
But I remember following and getting into soccer in the 2014 World Cup. Obviously that Brazilian World Cup is such a significant one because it stands out from the U.S. standpoint, because it was one of the first times we had major success at a tournament since 2002. Around a 16 appearance. We had gotten grouped in 2010. So to be able to make the round of 16 was a big deal in 2014. Tim Howard's great game against Belgium, even in a loss, that sticks out, and it's still the benchmark for goalkeepers at the World Cup. We saw Lloyd Room come one save short of that in 2026 this tournament. But yeah, 2014 was a big one because I was watching this tournament play out, and I was watching the United States have a great run, and I was learning about the Brazilian culture and how they love the sport. England obviously was a part of that tournament. France and the disastrous 2014 tournament that they had. Like, you're learning all of this in real time. I'm like, this is fascinating because it's so different than any other thing I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
You go to club football a couple of weeks later after that, and it's like, whoa, what is this? Why are there? It's like a billboard on their shirt. I don't understand what's going on. Where's the number? I didn't understand what was going on. So to understand the second side of this game, for me at least, the second side of club football and the inner workings of that and what's Major League Soccer. Oh, we have a league here. I kind of knew that, knew about the Red Bulls just because of the branding. And then, in 2015, I'm playing FIFA. And then 2016, I get a call. It's like, hey, you have some funny tweets on the internet and you have some like really good insight. Do you want to like do a YouTube show for this network? And I was like, sure. And they're like, we'll pay you $15. I'm like, that sounds like a lot of money at 15 or 16 years old. And then it led me to MLS Aces and Tom Sweezy, which we hosted 70 episodes together. And I'm so grateful for Tom. And that's what led me to my first ever game in Atlanta, Georgia. It was Atlanta United and Orlando City, their second ever matchup. I saw Kaká score a worldie live in Bobby Dodd Stadium in downtown Atlanta. That was my first ever game. I was 16 years old, and I don't want to name drop, but I was texting Rob Stone today, and we were talking about a couple different things, and yeah, just casually, we were talking about a couple different things, and I wanted to get some advice about a few things going on, and I remember the moment that I met him. It was at that game. Fox was doing a show live on the pitch. It was him and Alexi Lawless that was throwing it up to John Strong. I think Stu Holden just got in the job, or maybe Alexi went up to the booth. And he was so gracious with his time. He was able to share with me tidbits over the last 10 years now of trying to make it in this industry. So it all started with, hey, I think I can do that. And then getting an opportunity from someone to do it for no money, and then meeting Tom through that process. And ultimately it led to a stint in Major League Soccer and working in that league, which was where I met you. Yeah.
Before we get into that and how opportunities and how connections are very important in this world of media, tell me a little bit about the I guess falling in love with soccer, right? Because I feel like you mentioned, you kind of came to soccer. I don't know if late is the right word, because I guess everybody comes into the sport or to different sports in different times. Like, I just started watching F1 2 years ago. Yeah, I love it. Right,
F1's awesome. Yeah, who's your driver, Chris?
I have to go with Colapinto just because just the colors. But but that's sometimes you get hooked, because of that, and then you start looking into the sport, and you're like, whoa, this is very interesting, right? And I guess that was your story in 2014. So tell me a little bit about you falling in love, in a sense, with soccer, and then we'll get into the whole getting into the media side of things.
Well, culturally, it's so different here in the States. I mean, this, you cover MLS, so that soccer is not number one. And and truthfully, man, like, I know there's a lot of like soccer truthers out there, like, oh, this is going to overtake everything. The NFL is going to be king forever in this country, and I understand that. But to have the wherewithal, first off, at 13 years old, watching this tournament, to realize, like, wow, there's a lot of different places than here, and there's a lot of great places across this world that I just wasn't familiar with. And it was this really cool juxtaposition of, I get to watch a sport I don't know much about and learn about every single country that's playing in these games, all 32 of them. It was really, really cool. And you combine that with like, oh, wow, supporting my country is very fun, because usually you only get to do it with the Olympics. I was at a very impressionable age when it comes to American sports, when it comes to Michael Phelps in 2008 and again in 2012 in London. Like, rooting for America has always been a fun thing to do for me. I just had never done it for soccer. So the fact that I got to do it and they were doing well and they pushed Germany to the limit, they drew with Portugal, and they had this insane winner against Ghana where they scored in the first minute, last minute. Like, this is so much fun. Soccer's great. Thinking that, like, yeah, we're just going to run through this tournament like we do the Olympics. I was wrong because I was an idiot because I was 13. 13-year-olds don't know anything. So to have that and to experience all of this in real time, it was a cool thing. At such a like we talked about, an impressionable age of 13 years old.
Yeah.
And the tactics and the human chess, because I knew all of this with American football. You have a defense that matches what the offensive personnel throws at you. You don't get to sub in soccer like in real time. You got to have very strategic moments in the second half. When I was growing up, before all this utter woke nonsense, you had 3 substitutions. You had to use them sparingly. Now it's 5. Because of COVID and all this stuff,
it's
which
crazy.
is better for it's player safety. They played 60 or 70 games in Europe with European competitions. Like, I get it. And it should be that way. But you had 3 subs and you had to use them very, very strategically over the course of the game. And like, it was just this fascinating thing. And the closest example I had to that type of thing was baseball. But baseball doesn't really use their subs in that same way. It's very situational. And it's usually at the end of the game. So soccer opened up my mind as far as what sports can be from a mental side, which is it fascinated 13-year-old Riley, and it still fascinates 25-year-old Riley.
That's interesting. I mean, I grew up with soccer, so like, you have a perspective of what the game is, and then it's interesting to see how other people like yourself kind of see the game in a different light. So it's kind of cool to hear that.
Hey, I want you to filibuster for a second, because I just got a puppy last week and she's like biting something. So she's going to come hang out with me. So you talk.
I have a cat, so you'll probably hear the cat. But no, it's like Riley was saying, it's pretty cool to come into new sports sometimes as an adult, maybe, or even as a kid, right? As a young guy. There you go. Cute puppy. Shout out to the pups. Yeah, I have Ruby. A cat running around, so you'll probably hear it. So at some point, it always makes an appearance. So, but yeah, like I was saying, it's cool to kind of like come into new sports at times, because you kind of see a whole different side of sports and just how the world works. Like I mentioned, I didn't know F1 like drew so many people into like when you watch the races and there's thousands of people watching a bunch of cars just kind of go in circles, not in circles, but and then. We, through Bayou City Soccer, I met a couple of guys that follow NASCAR, and like they're wild about NASCAR. And I'm like, bro, like, you start thinking about it's, NASCAR is just a bunch of guys doing circles, doing laps. But it's like, no, there's teams and there's this and there's that. And it's wild, right? It's a different experience for sure. But let's get into you going, making that jump from, I guess, being a young lad and covering, these games, and then making it more of a profession per se, right? Like, because I met you covering it MLS, right? Which that's the top of the United States, right? The top soccer in the United States. And now you have your own show where you cover USO. Obviously, USO is a little bit under that, but it still carries a lot of weight in a lot of people around the United States. I mean, there's so many teams. The USL culture as a whole, it has its own niche in a sense, right?
Right.
But just tell me a little bit about, covering like the different, I guess, leagues we can say, or did you start directly with MLS?
So I started with Major League Soccer, and it was a lot of fun, right? Like, because it's got a Houston. I live, just for context, if you've never heard of Lake Charles, Louisiana, you should have. But it's about 2 hours away. Like, I could make it from my front door to the parking lot of, at the time, BBVA Compass, and then it was BBVA, and then it was PNC, and then now it's Shell Energy Stadium, whatever parking lot that is of Minute Maid and Daikin Stadium or Park or whatever. From my front door to there in 2 hours on the dot.
Nice.
An hour 55 if we were like really good that day. I don't condone that, but I will admit to being 17 years old making that drive. And as we mentioned, 13-year-olds are dumb. 17-year-olds are dumb with a lot more power of driving a vehicle across state lines. So yes, just it's fine.
Trust me, I was 17 once too.
So doing that and covering the Dynamo for I think I did 4 seasons, 2 as a just a beat reporter for that team, and then branched out through All In Sports Talk to do regional stuff. So Houston, Dallas, Austin, and then the occasional trip elsewhere. It was really an interesting time in my life because like you have to grow up professionally in a sense, and I had never worked anywhere. Because I worked at a golf course through college doing this almost like, this was the main gig, but I did the golf course for a really steady income to be able to like, put gas in my car and feed myself. But like, this was always in my mind, the main job, even when it didn't pay like the main job. I always treated it like this is my main source of income and enjoyment in my life because it always was. And I realized very quickly that I had treated this like a hobby and a job. So I had spent so much time and so much of myself, so much of my effort into making what I was doing good that I didn't really have much time for anything else. So while also like being 18 years old, traveling around the country and covering professional soccer, talking to like guys like Diego Valeri and Jordan Morris and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Like we're talking to these guys each and every week when they come to Houston or Austin. And I'm like, wow, I'm becoming kind of a jerk to people because I think I'm like big time. And it's like in the moment, you don't realize this, but when you look back, like, oh man, I was probably kind of I was an arrogant, there's a couple words I'm not going to say, but it was really kind of a moment of self-reflection. And I think that really came during COVID, because I was 19 when COVID started and it stretched into me turning 20 in that September. So reflecting on that last year where I'd had the best year of my career, I'd made, a lot of money, relative to this not being a full-time job, and traveling all over the country, meeting all these people, talking to these people, having like off camera, off like the record friendships with some of these guys. Like that was a cool moment. And then COVID happened. You lock yourself in their house. You're playing chess till about 3:00 in the morning every night. And it really kind of gives this new perspective. Like, okay, if all that goes away, who are you? Because it all went away. And it was really a tough thing to grapple with. And I was very thankful that I had my parents here and a lot of people who didn't like hate me after me treating them like crap. And some heartbreak along the way because I was like talking to girls and stuff and they just thought I was just arrogant. I was like, okay, cool. Move on to the next one. And then there was a girl I really liked and she said that. I'm like, wow, maybe I need to start making some changes. And it became a real thing that I had to fight through. And I was very thankful in a way that I did get laid off in the middle of COVID. They're like, hey, who are you without this? Yeah. Do you still like yourself without this? So the highs of 2019 and going through my first, and I did an accelerated course in college. So like my first and second year is kind of in my first year because I graduated in 2.5 instead of 4.
Nice.
And like going through college and learning so much and adding that into what I'm already doing. So I'm like in my mind, like I was great. Now I'm even better, when you look back, like, oh man, I wasn't that good.
Right.
So again, you're 13, you don't know anything, 17, you don't know anything. And even when you're 19 and bordering on 20, man, you still really don't know anything because you haven't done anything. So so it turning into a profession was a big deal to me. To like, wow, this is my life now. We get to travel, and I covered the US Open Cup final in 2018 when they won that. But a great story about that game. So this is so funny. It's kind of a 3-parter because the day part of that Wednesday afternoon, which is so funny to me that it was on a weekday. We did MLS Aces live, or I did my portion live from the 4 Seasons in downtown Houston, which was like not the plan because we were gonna do it from some soccer pitches across town, but it was raining pretty heavily that day. So we ended up putting it inside. So we had that experience. A couple people showed up to that, and that was really cool. And then you fast forward to a pre-match. I'm sitting up in the like extended, because they had us at the very, very top that day, because the press box was full of like US soccer people and MLS people and like the hardcore of hardcore Dynamo people, like the Chronicle and the big publications. And they set all of us lowlings up at the top of the stadium by the television booth. I'm sure you're familiar with the very top of that.
Yeah. I've been there before.
Right. It's where they put all the rookies. So I'm up there, and it's a great, lovely day. It turned into a really nice day after the rain. It's late September, so it's kind of hot, but not as brutal as what it is now in August. And I'm walking towards the end, and I see the back of his head, and I hear a golden voice that belongs to JP Dellacamera. And he like was talking to somebody, and he turned around, and I walked up to him like, "Hey, Mr. Dellacamera, I'm a massive fan of what you do." Obviously, this Hall of Fame level commentator when it comes to Major League Soccer, U.S. Soccer, World Cups. I think he's done 7 men's and 5 women's on television here in the States. He was getting ready to do the Women's World Cup as the lead guy in less than a year from when I was talking to him. I'm like, "Hey, you're one of the best." He's like, "Thanks, man. You want a cracker?" Because he had just opened a pack of like peanut butter crackers. I was like, man, we just finished dinner here. He's like, "All right," and like talk to me for a couple more minutes. I still think about I should have taken that cracker from JP Dellacamera. I would probably be working at Fox right now if I would have done that. The butterfly effect, where one small thing changes and your whole life is different. But so we go through that final interview to Marcus Beasley. He had won another trophy with the Dynamo. He captained that team, played the whole match. So we're talking in the locker room. "Congratulations, man, blah, 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 blah." I leave that. I was driving a 2009 Toyota Corolla. Nice. And I was so hungry because it was so late at night. The game had started at 7, but you've been in a final before, so the process of like, it's 2 hours, but then they have the trophy tour around the stadium, they had the trophy lift, they had the locker room celebration. It's like an hour and a half before you could even talk to the players. You have to follow the story and then leave. So it's like 11 o'clock. The only thing open is a Whataburger. And I'm not a big Whataburger guy. I know that may offend maybe some folks in Texas. I'm not. It's just I don't get it.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh man, it's my Louisiana coming out. But like, whatever. It's the only place open, and I'm really hungry, so I'm gonna get a burger and a shake. I love a chocolate shake. Yeah. So I go through the drive-through, and I put the car in park because there's one car in front of me, and like I'm pretty tired, so I'm not really like, I'm gonna run into the back of this car and idle if I don't put it in park right now. And my car just starts making this wild noise. Unlike I had heard anything from a car. Wild noise. And I have a guy with me, and he's like, "That sounds bad." I'm like, "It's fine. It's like wishful thinking." Because it was 2 days before my 18th birthday. This is happening. Dang. So I'm like, that sounds like a problem that's going to be dealt with at some point that's not right now. So we go and we get the food, and it's fine. It's late night, Whataburger. And we get across the state line, and on the first couple, this is Interstate 10, so it's a major interstate. People should know this. It goes from Jacksonville to Los Angeles. But right about in the middle of the interstate, there's a town called Vinton, Louisiana. It's a very small town, very rural. There's that word again, rural. And the car starts sputtering, like jumping. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is a disaster." It's like 12:30. I was okay. Let's just, try to get the thing. The car's overheating as well. So like the car, it's getting hot. So we turn off the air condition. We want to like just bare bones drag this car to where I live. Vent 40 minutes away, driving like a normal speed. So it takes like an hour and 20 to get it to Westlake, Louisiana, which for all the simpletons out there, Westlake is west of the lake that is Lake Charles. So we're west of where we got to go. I'm like maybe 17 minutes, and I had to pull into a gas station because it just died. So
Dang.
like, we push it into this gas station spot. I have to call my dad because it took forever. And like it takes, I'm sorry, it was like 1:30, but it takes like a long time for him to get up and moving. I remember getting home at 3:00 in the morning.
God.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So the guy that came with me, his brother-in-law is like a big time car guy. So he calls him when he wakes up at like 6:30, like, or he sends him a text. He's like, hey, call this guy when you wake up. He's got an issue with the car, whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool. I get a phone call that next morning from the guy. He's like, I'm at your car right now. Meet me whenever you can. It's like 7:30. I had slept maybe 2.5 hours because you're coming off like this is a pretty emotional high of my career. It's my first cup final. Interviewed DeMarcus Beasley, who had been so elusive to me over the course of my career. This is a big time thing. And then like my car doesn't work. So meet him at that gas station. I hadn't really slept. I didn't start drinking coffee yet. So I'm super groggy. He's like, yeah, car's busted. We can change the water pump and it can get you home, but it needs to go in the shop. I'm like, all right, cool. He changed the water pump out, which is a very extensive process on the 2009 Toyota Corolla, if you don't know. And it's like, all right, you're good to go. It's like an hour process, maybe.
That's not bad.
And I start driving home and I get about 3 turns away and it dies.
Oh, no.
So we crank it again. And it starts going. And I get home. So like I gas it and just put it in neutral and coast until I have to gas it again. Right. We're trying to minimize the amount of stress on this engine.
Yeah.
So we get pulled into the thing. Again, this is like the day before my 18th birthday. So like this sucks. This is a bad
the emotions.
I was exhausted. I was so emotionally exhausted. So we pull it in, we get it parked. Obviously I live with my parents because I was 17. We get it parked in the driveway and he's like, all right, we'll call the guy. I know you're tired, so I'll call the guy, we'll get it taken care of. Sits in the driveway for 2 days. Because the guy's busy, right? Because it's apparently late September is a big time for car breakdowns. And he picks it up and I don't get it back till the week of Thanksgiving. Took 2 months.
Jesus. So
this all comes from the fact that I did a cup final at 17 years old. And it's like all of what transpired happened in about 24 hours.
That's crazy.
Again, if I would have accepted that peanut butter cracker from JP Della Camera, maybe I wouldn't have had my car breakdown in Benton, Louisiana.
The peanut butter effect. You know what I mean? Some people say butterfly effect, but peanut butter effect is even stronger.
Yes.
Confirmed.
Yes, the peanut butter effect would have been a big deal.
That's a crazy story, man. Because like you said, you're still young, you're still learning. It's one of your highlights, of your career, of your young career, and then just the world is like, hey, stay humble. It's like calm down, sir, calm down. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have many of those stories, not right?
Yeah, just a few,
but that one's probably the worst one because
because I don't know anything about cars. So I don't know how bad this is. What's this going to cost me? I don't make any money because I'm again 17 and broke.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, we're going to have to figure this out. And then you don't have a car for 2 months, which, you figure that out when you're an adult, but when you're 17, like this is a car.
Big time deal. Yeah. Yeah.
You
got stuff to do, places to be, people to go see. Yeah.
I can't go to the mall with my friend. I got to ask them to pick me up. Like that's so weird. Yeah.
That's funny.
I had some great friends that took me around during that time.
Shout out to the home. Yeah. Let's go fast forward. So that was I guess we can say one of your main stories in the beginning, right?
Right.
And now you see yourself and you are covering the USL for Goals TV, right?
Yeah, Goals TV, GOLZ TV.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, man, because we saw the beginnings, the humble beginnings, driving an 09 Corolla for 2 hours, breaking down the Whataburger line. And then now, right, we see Riley James covering a USL, talking to a lot of different people around around that league, women's side, men's side, covering finals too. I know you traveled not that long ago to cover a women's final.
Shout out Lexington, Kentucky.
Yeah, shout out to Kentucky.
And a McDonald's in Bowling Green.
Right? Shout out to the fast food establishments that saves the day. But tell us about that experience. Tell us how, like, I guess if you have any stories in between, anybody that you want to shout out in between, and then how you got to this moment where you're at today.
So I'll start with how I got here. I did the World Cup in 22, very similar show to what I did this past year. I guess this past couple of weeks. It's weird to say that the World Cup was only a month ago. It feels simultaneous, like yesterday and last year. I didn't sleep very much in a month. But I did the World Cup in 22, a very similar style of show. I was working for Spotify at the time, doing some audio stuff for them. And then, we had some video obligations for a company I won't say, but we were doing that. And I was looking for a new video provider in 2023. I was trying to sell this World Cup style show for the women. We're going to do 25 shows. It's going to be awesome, right? And somehow, some way, Jose Tellez, who is the founder and creator of Goals TV, found what I did on the internet and decided, hey, that's who I want to do our Women's World Cup coverage. And it was like this beta type of platform at the time, right? Like it really didn't have any. She's like licking the microphone. It was this beta platform. Like it didn't really have like bones yet. It was more just an idea. And he had started it off the back of the 22 World Cup. So really like only a couple months of real development before July 23 rolled around. So I did the Women's World Cup show. It was successful. There was one particular moment from that show, went 500,000 views on Goals TV, of a company that didn't really exist yet. It was about Lauren James when she stomped on that. I believe it was a Nigerian player. Like we talked about that, like, kind of the struggle that England went through at that tournament, as they do every tournament.
I think the Nigerian player was the player for the dash.
She played for the dash. She's like a doctor.
Yeah. And a professional soccer player on the side,
it's like
casually.
It's like Bo Jackson. Like, I'm a baseball player, but I'll play in the NFL as a hobby. Good.
Crazy.
So so you have the Women's World Cup, and I feel like that was successful. I don't look at the numbers or anything that we do. I don't want to know. Like, someone's going to tell me if we're not doing well. I would imagine.
They'll let you know.
So I think it goes pretty well, because he calls me in January. I'm in Orlando, Florida. I'm at my alma mater, Full Sail University. Shout out to the Armada. And I'm like there. I'm touring the place. It's the first time I'd ever been, because I went to school online. And I speaking to classes, like I was doing this thing. I was trying to like get back to my alma mater. I love that place a lot. That made me into the type of broadcaster that I am. It's very, very worth it in my mind to go and pay homage to where you went to school.
Yeah.
So I was in Orlando. I get this phone call from Jose. I was like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I'm like, "I'm in Orlando, whatever." He's like, "How much do you know about USL?" I was like, "Not really anything. I probably named like 4 teams, and one of them's a Phoenix Rising, and because of Didier Drogba." Like, that was really kind of it. Like, I didn't really know much. He's like, man, we're starting this we're starting like a series of shows on the platform. We wanted you to host one of them, and I feel like you could do the USL one. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I just started writing about like college football betting and like the NFL betting stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I want to like I was in Major League Soccer. Don't really want to go down from that. He's like, look, it's open to you if you want it. If you want to take some time to think about it, I understand. So I took a day or two. I was still in Orlando, and I'd flew into Orlando, but my parents were there on vacation. So it just kind of worked out. I was going to drive back with them, help them make that trip, because they're, I love my parents, and they're, very capable of driving, but any help on that long 14-hour drive is very much appreciated. Right. So I was talking on the trip back, and I remember stopping at a Love's truck stop. I'm sorry for all the free advertisement for all these companies today, but
sponsor us, please.
Yeah. We're at a Love's truck stop, and I remember like coming to the decision, like, I'll give it a shot. We'll do a trial period of this show, and we'll do 5 and see how it goes. And episode 120 just came out this past week, and we have a very, very special one for 121 that I can't necessarily say yet, but I believe it's going to be a good one.
Oh, okay.
I think it's gonna be great.
Interesting. I wonder.
Hey, you don't say stuff until it happens, man.
It's true.
But so I took the show, and our first guest was Miguel Perez, who was a lone player from St. Louis. He was playing for Birmingham, the Legion. Third guest was Albert Dequa, who was the reigning MVP of the league. He had just signed with this expansion side called Rhode Island, and they went to the final that year. So like we got pretty big guests off the jump. So I'm like, okay, this is a cool space. There's great stories to tell. We'll do 5 and see if it works. Did 5. It worked. Awesome. Let's go for the year. Let's see what this year is like. See, it's probably going to be a pretty good check.
Yeah.
You know, it's worth my time. It kind of goes back to like, is this a significant enough thing where I can reach people that is worth my time investing in it? And it is, because it's in my mind, USL is serving communities that it's difficult for people to get to in Atlanta, but they live near Birmingham, right? Mm-hmm. So they can go to a Legion game in a really cool stadium. I've been in Progressive Stadium in the last year or so. It's a nice stadium. It's where the UAB football team plays. It's wonderful. But people that can't make it to Atlanta, that can make it to Birmingham, can still watch professional soccer of really good quality. Yeah. Same thing. You know, you have a team. I keep using Atlanta because there's not a lot of teams in the South, right? You have the teams in Florida, which that's not the South. That's completely separate. It's basically a different country.
It's Florida.
It's Florida. Yeah. But like, you like soccer in Tennessee. It's a lonely experience. I like soccer in Louisiana. There's no one that likes soccer here. So you like soccer in Tennessee. It's hard to get to Nashville, or it's hard to get to Atlanta, but you live in Knoxville. There's a team in Knoxville. You live in Chattanooga. There was a great team in Chattanooga, made history last year. Mm-hmm. It's serving those communities. So it was a worthwhile story to tell. And my first show going on location, you talked about going to the final. We did episodes 49 and episodes 50. And keep in mind, we're on like 120 now. So like, this is, in my mind, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
We did 49 and 50 from the Cotton Bowl. Now, if you remember very early in the show, I talked about my affinity for college football. That's a big deal in college football, the Cotton Bowl. Obviously, it used to be where the Cotton Bowl was held. It's now at Jerry World. And what used to be Dallas Stadium is now back to AT&T Stadium, as the World Cup branding is. The World Cup branding embargo is lifted.
Yeah. You gotta break it off.
Yeah, it's no longer Dallas Stadium, which is not in Dallas, as New York, New Jersey Stadium's not in New York, but that's a different conversation. I got to be a part of those experiences, and obviously doing the Cotton Bowl was a big deal to me because of the college football aspects. But to tell the story of that Dallas Trinity and that Allie Thornton, who was a really great player, who was, you know, one of the league leaders. I think she might have won the Golden Boot the first year of the USL Super League. She went to SMU. She's from the Dallas area. So the fact that she got to do what she always wanted to do, playing professional soccer in her hometown, in one of the most historic stadiums, probably second to the Rose Bowl in this country, that's a cool thing. And to do that was basically the equivalent of the highest level, being a first division league in the United States. So to be able to tell that story was cool. We did the show with Brooklyn FC in the visitors' locker room that very same day, which apparently caused quite the disturbance to their pregame schedule, because they ended up losing that match 6-0 to Dallas, which had started. They were top of the league, 7 points clear at the top. They did my show. They lost like 6 in a row, and they fired the manager. So I don't know if I think this is my fault.
Peanut butter effect.
Right. Peanut butter effect. They would have scheduled that show for 8:30. It would have been different, but it was at 9, and it was sleeting outside. I remember in North Dallas in March. So so that really opened my eyes. And we did a show in Indianapolis with Indy 11. Did 2 of those.
That's awesome.
Did Jack Blake and Sean McCauley, who are both still there. I think Jack Blake might be the captain now of that side. We did Tampa. I went to Tampa and I had to get my passport out to go to Florida. We did a show in Sarasota with Sarasota Paradise and their owner before they didn't kick the ball around yet. Where else? Atletico Dallas. We were at their launch party And that was
Great
a really cool thing to talk to Matt Valentine and Sam Morton about the evolution of this idea. We did the USL Championship final last year, Tulsa and Pittsburgh. We were live in Tulsa. I was told it was going to be 65 and sunny. It was 44 and cloudy and cold. And I was sitting there in a short sleeve button down, again, like an idiot, because even at 25 years old, you don't know anything, Chris. You don't know anything because most of us are idiots. Not you find people to listen to your show, but me, I'm an idiot, and I didn't pack a jacket. So
yeah, it's funny that every time I saw you at the Dynamo Stadium, you were always wearing a jacket, and you always looked nice. And so it's funny that you were not wearing a jacket.
I'm so
at
cold.
25.
They gave me this media bib, right? Because you got to wear the bib when you're on the pitch. And I'm like sitting behind the goal, and I try never to spend money at stadiums because, like the media gets accommodations, we get catering and all that kind of stuff, and that's really nice. I take advantage of that, right? Because why offer it if you don't want us to take it? Exactly. I used to have a Pepsi and whatever food they would offer. I'd get another Pepsi for the second half. Or a bottle of water because it was always 100 degrees in Houston at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, like it's this like you got to stay hydrated, but you want some caffeinated flavor in your in your life. So I spent money at One Oak Field. I think it's the AA stadium for the Dodgers is where FC Tulsa plays, and they had this wonderful hot chocolate. It cost $4.75. I got 3 of them. One for the first half, one for the second half, and then when they went to extra time, I'm like, oh my gosh, Lord. I can't do this.
Let's finish this game.
Right, like I got to talk in a couple of minutes because we got Eric Dick on the show. He was the MVP of that match. He was the goalkeeper. They had like 450 minutes of clean sheet soccer through the playoffs. It was like this incredible defensive performance by Pittsburgh, and I'm sitting there thinking like, man, this hot chocolate's really starting to set in my stomach. And like, we're in a bad spot right now, but so he comes over from CBS, he does my show, and like, we're packing up and everything. I'm like, wow, today is going to be remembered as one of the best days of my career. Cup final. This is an incredible experience. And all I want to do is just, I need to go to the bathroom because like, it's all hitting me at one time and I got to catch a flight out of here. So yeah, live shows are a lot of fun. There's a lot of things you have to manage. But yeah, so you have to pace yourself when you're cold outside. Remember to always bring a jacket. I got home and my mother called me and she's like, did you bring a jacket? It's November in Oklahoma. I'm like, no, I didn't bring a jacket because I was lied to about the weather. She's like, you always bring a jacket. I was like, okay, fair enough. So, that leads me to the next year. We did, we started our year in Brooklyn. We did 3 shows in Brooklyn. Nice. Marlon LeBlanc, the men's coach, his son plays for the Union Academy for Philadelphia. We did Anna Markovic, obviously, who was a major internet superstar, almost 3 million followers for all the things that she does. Her sister Kiki came on the show with us. It was a really cool experience being in Brooklyn, New York, and walking through Manhattan on my one day off and staying in Long Island with some friends. Grand Central Station. Like, it was like a very touristy thing. And I don't really do that when I go to cities. I walk around the downtown area. I get to kind of be in the city. And I don't really like view it as like, wow, look at that. That's from that. That's from that. Because you're going to like Tulsa, or you're going to Tampa, or you're going to whatever. This is New York City. I was like, this is awesome. You parlay that into going into, I did another show in Dallas it didn't actually make air because we had some technical difficulties, but did another show in Dallas a couple weeks after I got back from New York. 2 weeks later, we're on the road. We did a show with Jay Heaps, former MLSer, former national team member. He's the head coach of Birmingham Legion. Did a show with him in his facility on the way to Charlotte. Had 3 shows in Charlotte. And then back on the road later that year, we did, I say later that year, it's earlier this year. We did Portland, Maine, did 2 shows up there with Portland Hearts of Pine. The most wonderful story and my favorite of our live shows that we've ever done is in Portland, Maine. Did it from a soccer bar, and then we did the other one from the stadium with their owner. And then the most recent one, the one that you referenced, is the USL, or I guess Gamebridge Super League final between Lexington and Carolina. We had Mackenzie Weinert, who had scored a goal in that final, the goal to put them in the lead in the 72nd minute. So it was a
Wow.
really cool experience. All the travel was so much fun, and to be able to do that and do it for Goals TV and have Goals TV be pleased with what we do and support us in the way that they do. It's awesome. And I'm so grateful for the year that we had. And it's certainly a very good reminder that you always have to, when you're offered a job in a condo hotel in Orlando, Florida, and you don't want to take it because you think it's too small time, you have to consider the possibility that it's your show. You get to control the creative narrative behind it, and it's going to probably lead you to places that you never could have gone with Major League Soccer. So I'm very thankful to USL and the year that we've had. And, we have some really great shows to close out this season, and I'm very excited about. And I, like I said earlier, I believe it's going to be a very, very good one. So
that's a great tease.
That's a very long-winded answer of saying, hey, like this USL show is awesome, and it comes out every single week on Goals TV's YouTube platform.
There you go. Hey man, that's a great answer, because that just showed, like, it literally went from I don't know if I want to do this to I traveled the whole United States. Yeah. And I told so many stories, and it's funny because it goes back to what you wanted to do at 8 years old, which is like tell stories and communicate to people these emotions. And I just think it's like full circle in a way. I mean, your first few answers, at 8, when you were 8, now look at you at 25, basically doing that. So very happy for you, honestly. I mean, you were telling all that, and I was just smiling inside because that's so awesome, dude. Like, I'm so happy for you. I'm happy that you, like you mentioned, you get to control the creative side of it, because, sometimes a lot of these people, they get told what to do, what to say, who to talk to, I guess, in a way. But you have the creativity part of it, to your, maybe not to yourself all alone, but you get to do kind of what you like. And it's awesome because you can tell how passionate you are. So kudos to you, man, because you can see that in your work.
Man.
For
I
sure.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. And well, I mean, I think it's time to kind of talk about what we wanted to talk about in the beginning. But I mean, I love your story to begin with. So I know this next step, which is the World Cup, which, I mean, for all of us, in a sense, right? Everybody that loves soccer or that has fallen in love with the sport, the pinnacle of the sport is the World Cup.
Yeah.
And the World Cup, we didn't have to go to the World Cup. The World Cup came to us, right?
Yeah, right.
And that
2 hours from the stadium that
isn't that crazy?
I
like,
live. Yeah, it's crazy.
For me, it was like in my hometown. So which is wild. But tell me about that, man. Like, tell me about I guess the process of like getting approved. I mean, you don't have to tell me everything. I applied, put my name. You don't have to do all that, but just like the process of going all that and then just getting accepted, and then you had an experience where you went to a game, and just that, man, just covering the World Cup, especially with your background, with your story that you just told, covering all aspects and all levels of soccer in the United States, and now you're covering the pinnacle of the sport. Tell me about that.
Yeah. The World Cup has always been the benchmark, right? Because they announced it 8 years in advance.
Yeah.
It was during the Russian World Cup. So you'd always had this idea in your mind of what 2026 could be. And I think the future and trajectory of soccer was always dependent on what this summer did. And obviously of the success of the national team, which it's always been like that. So yeah, we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in a second, but the personal experience of this, because this is now the third World Cup I'm going into as a broadcaster and a storyteller. And, the first 2 World Cups, the Qatari World Cup I always make the point that Qatari World Cup, I think, was the perfect World Cup to do what I did.
Yeah. Because
it was so regimented. Every single kickoff time was the same exact time every single day. So we had a very tight schedule. We were very efficient with what we were able to do. We had guests every single day at the same time. Like, it was perfect. And then you go to the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand, and every day is so different than the last, and it's also in the middle of the night. So that was very difficult, because at least the Qatari World Cup, the first match is like at 3. Like, you're up. Like, 3 o'clock's pretty early, but you could go to bed at like 7 or 8 and be fine. Like, you still have some semblance of a day. The Australian World Cup, I was going to bed at noon and waking up at 8 p.m. Like, it sucked. Like, I was working like a shift of the plants, the chemical plants that we have here in Lake Charles. And I asked for advice from some of those guys of like, how do you do this? And they're like, you don't, you just, you're so tired, you fall asleep and you wake up hopefully on time. So I had those two experiences of what the World Cup is like in my mind coming into 26. And, we had kind of preliminary conversation whether we wanted to do the show in the same style. The initial plan was 35 episodes of World Cup Today, doing it literally every single day through the tournament. I realized about halfway through that like I don't have the gas tank for that. Like I was not sleeping. I was sleeping maybe 2.5 hours a night during that whole process. And it got very incredibly lonely, because everyone that I know that even is not soccer guys are watching the World Cup in a very casual sense. And they should, right? They're not soccer guys. So like, why are you watching Uzbekistan play, DR Congo? Like, it's not really your jam. Yeah. So I get watching Portugal and Colombia. Like I get that, but you're not watching the other match in that group that day. So struggling with the loneliness of it, which is not like indifferent of what I've dealt with in my entire career. Because again, I live in Louisiana. Soccer is not a big thing. So I knew how to combat that, but it was compounded to a sense where like, I'm doing this every day. I'm not sleeping. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not leaving where I'm at. Like it's the same grueling schedule. And like, it got to a point, I'm like, I cannot do 35 of these. So we cut it to 30 about halfway through production. And we cut kind of the auxiliary shows. And look, like I love the United States. I wish they would have went to the final and won the thing. Like truly in my heart of hearts, I would have done the extra work to make that happen. But when they went out in the round of 16, I was like, okay, we don't have to do 3 shows per US game. Like that was almost relief in a way. Like I was disappointed and kind of heartbroken the way that they played against Belgium. But after sitting with it for a day, I'm like, man, I don't have to like do 4 shows in one day anymore. Like this is kind of nice. And you can kind of see that if you go look at our catalog of shows after the US goes out, it slows down quite a bit. It kind of goes to this macro view of the round. We previewed both of the finalists in a very legitimate sense, but we went from the quarterfinal to previewing finalists. Like we didn't even do a semifinal show. So, it got pretty grueling. And it got really intense. And there was some moments of like some personal stuff that was going on in the middle of that, just sleep deprivation and not eating very well. So you go from not eating very well to not eating at all to not eating, the right things. And it was a disaster. Right? I thought I could go into a tournament my 3rd time around and handle myself. But this one was so brutal with the completely scattered kickoff times every single day. Because I mean, some games started at 11, and then you get to a day, and the first game doesn't start till 4. The last game ends at 1 o'clock for us. We can't start the show until the last game is over. So we're recording from 1 to 2, and you have to flip around and edit. And you're done with editing at like 4. You wake up at 7 or 8 to put the show out. Like it's just, you do that 21 days in a row, it gets so monotonous. And we had really great guests on. Like we had Brian McBride on, U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer, previewed the United States. We had Paul Carr on twice. He was the lead researcher for Fox this summer. David Mossy, who hosts a podcast with Alexi Lalas on Fox Sports. We had really great guests. Chris Vanini, who's a college football writer for the New York Times, but he covered the World Cup this summer for The Athletic. Like that's a big deal, is getting those guys. So it was worth it. I knew what I was doing, and it was almost autopilot in a sense for all my years of training and all my years of doing. I knew how to do it, but I think we could have maybe been a little bit more efficient in the way that we did it. So looking back on it now, I'm very proud of the work we did. I don't think I could have performed any better given the circumstance, but we could have changed the circumstances to let me perform better, if that makes sense. But that one match in Houston, right? Morocco and Canada, where I got to do the show with you. You were on the program. Forget what number. Again,
you had all those guys and then me.
But like, no, like you had been covering the games in Dallas and Houston. Like you knew what was going on. And it was this wonderful thing to be able to talk about it with you, and you were fantastic to be able to chat with. And we had the set piece of Houston Stadium, now rebranded to, I think they're going back to Reliant.
Back to Reliant,
yeah. That's a cool thing. It's kind of throwback to my childhood.
Yeah.
When, by the way, I know this is not breaking news, but I realized the other day I'm older than the Houston Texans. Like,
that's wild.
That's a crazy thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like good for me, I guess. But because you have kids growing up, like there wasn't always a team in Houston. I'm like, well, there was, and then there wasn't, and it's shout out to the Oilers.
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, so the World Cup was a grind, man. And I'll look back on it in like a couple years. Right now, it's a little raw.
Yeah.
But I'll look back in a couple of years and be happy I did that. And I think the tape I got from that professionally is going to lead me down some really, really positive roads and to where I want to go. And
sure.
very, very thankful to Goals TV for putting me on the air for another tournament and to allow me to resume the United Soccer Lounge about 4 weeks after the World Cup's over. I got to sleep for like 4 weeks. Chris, it was awesome.
Get some rest. Bring it back in.
Your question. I'm sorry that it.
Like, no, those are great.
In this big circle.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, we already talked about that, and then to kind of finish off, let me just get your thoughts on where do you think soccer is going in this country? I mean, you have a front seat, or you had a front seat for the World Cup. You have a front seat for the USL. You know the MLS. I'm sure you kind of keep up with it a little bit. I mean, it's out there, right?
Yeah, the first place world. Houston Dynamo.
Shout out.
I covered that team through crap, man. I saw 2 playoff games. It was the first 2 games I did in Houston. They never went back. So the fact that like they're first place, right? It makes me mad.
Right? Why couldn't it be good when I was there? Damn it!
I wanted to see a Western Conference final again.
Right?
I saw the one against Seattle.
Maybe later on we'll have you come out and hang out with us for hopefully a Western semifinal or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be a nice Texas winter. It'll be about 80 degrees. It'll be great.
Right? For real. 78 in humidity. Negative 87
in November.
But yeah, man, tell me a little bit about that. Where do you see soccer going, in this country? Me personally, I love the USL. I'm not really in tune with the USL as much as I want to be honest. But I love the idea of promotion relegation. I think that is a whole podcast by itself.
We've done it. We've done it on Goals TV.
There you go. Hey,
so is Eric Winaldo.
and I'm sure. I mean, that conversation is going to be there forever, right? I think, obviously, with the MLS not having it, and they are like the spearhead of soccer in this country, and obviously, we all watch Premier League and all that, and we see it how it works over there, and then how it works over here, but. It's a whole different country for sure. Dynamics are completely different. But just I guess let's go into that. Where do you see soccer going? With all the experience that you have and on all these different levels of soccer, what's next for U.S. soccer?
What's next for U.S. soccer? Well, we have Copa probably coming in 2028. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm a reporter. I know that, but I don't know anything. So I'm not reporting anything.
Yeah. But
where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's many great people who are covering that story. So presumably, Copa in 28. Women's World Cup 2031 coming to the States. So you have 2 major tournaments coming again. You just had the Club World Cup in 25. You had the Men's World Cup in 26. Yep. So soccer's here. Like U.S. is a soccer country. The problem is it's not always American soccer. It's the Premier League. It's La Liga. It's the Bundesliga. It's the Mexican League. Like there's so many different platforms you could watch all these games on. And that's really great because we are a country of immigrants, right? Yeah. To be able to watch the league that you support on American television is a massive thing. And I'm an avid supporter of having different countries broadcast their games in the United States.
Yeah,
it's how I one of my first ever Champions League matches was watching Juve and Bayern Munich. It was this wonderful game back in 2015. I'll never forget it. It was unbelievable. And then Liverpool and Barcelona when Messi hit that free kick, but ended up losing to Liverpool after that insane comeback.
Yeah,
whatever. Right? Champions League's awesome. But the fact that MLS is behind a paywall on Apple, except for like 1 to 2 games a week on Fox.
Yeah.
It's an issue. So for the games to not be readily available on a network television package, that's probably the first thing. Because I mean, they're tied into this Apple deal. It was 10 years. I think they're 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
Maybe 5 years into it.
Yeah.
And I know the Messi thing is tied into that with him getting some residual of that. So
Sure.
they're gonna have to stick with that. So that's one thing for the commissioner, the new commissioner, to be able to figure out is like, what do you do after the Apple deal to be able to make this accessible to everyone else? And the world could look very different in 6 or 7 years. So who knows? So that's one thing. Second thing, the national team. Said it earlier in the show. The success of soccer in the United States is more or less contingent on the men's national team. Mm-hmm. They've made the round of 16 of the World Cups they qualified, now 4 World Cups in a row. I don't know if that's going to do it, you know? Yeah. And I realized I said in the show earlier, we got grouped in 2010. That was 2006 I was referencing. 2010, they had that Landon Donovan moment, beat Algeria, did the whole thing. It was awesome. I realized I before I get tweets, I was wrong. I'm often wrong.
For the fact checkers out there.
Yes, I realized I said that probably 30 minutes ago. So, all right, so fine.
It's all good.
I'll clip this part. And it's like I corrected myself.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, you have the success of the national team. They have to do well at Copa, and you have Mauricio Pochettino coming back, and I think that's going to be a big thing for the program. USL and promotion relegation, that has to work. Like that's a pretty big swing to be able to miss.
Giant swing. Yeah.
Right. So they have to be able to nail that and to do it in a way that is entertaining. And I know they're only going to have promotion to the top the first couple of years to be able to fill out that league. They're going to start with 12 or 14. And then I think they're going to work their way up to 18. So no big stakes the first couple of years in Premier, but championship and that's going to have a real spice to it as teams are going to get sent down to League One to be able to fill that league out as well. So it's going to be really entertaining. I said on a different show, I think it was a Forward Madison podcast, because up the Mingos. I almost wore a Forward Madison shirt today, but it's I rode it to ride my bike the other day, and it's dirty. But so we're a hoodie in August in Louisiana.
Of course, checks out.
So just a bead of sweat came down there, so it was
just
bad.
Running down.
And you got body heat right here in my lap too with the puppy. But yeah, I said on that show, USL has to have someone that chooses them over Major League Soccer. It has to happen. We've seen the catalyst for what David Beckham coming to Los Angeles did. We saw obviously what Lionel Messi's impact on American soccer and Major League Soccer has done. Nope. I'm not saying it has to be, Kylian Mbappe, but it has to be someone of significance that chooses to spend time in USL versus going to Major League Soccer. And now this is not exactly what I thought was going to happen, but it's a man who is the all-time leading goal scorer for the Mexican national team, who played for Real Madrid, who played for Manchester United. Chicharito signs with Atletico Dallas. Like, that's a big deal in a 90,000 seat stadium in the heart of Dallas, Texas, where, albeit there's an MLS team that uses that city's name, but they're in Frisco.
Yep. Shout out Southern Oklahoma.
To have soccer in, I caught that. To have soccer in Dallas for a team that's called Dallas in the heart of like I said earlier, the second most historic stadium in the history of American sports, with a guy that a lot of people love in that state, that matters a lot. So I don't know if that's what I was thinking, but that certainly is not going to be a terrible thing for Atletico Dallas next year in 2027. And they start this whole process in 28, or they say they're going to start it in 28. So you have a year of that, and hopefully you get 2 or 3 years out of Chicharito. 37-year-old Chicharito, who was just a broadcaster for Fox Sports. Maybe you get him till he's 40, maybe you get him till he's 39, but Atletico is going to milk every single moment of that, as they absolutely should, as Miami should with Messi, as the Chicago Fire should do with Robert Lewandowski. That matters. And I'll cap off at this point by saying the success from the top with Major League Soccer and these attendance numbers that I'm seeing, which they've been really encouraging, because I remember when I started covering Major League Soccer, it was a struggle to get people into BBVA Compass. Houston's obviously doing a lot better these days, and the stadium's really nice. And I saw the mesh seats; so they're not so hot, and they're all different colors. It's a beautiful stadium. So shout out to the owner that obviously has poured a lot of money into that.
Yes,
but you have attendance all the way up, all over the league, and you have teams playing in NFL stadiums that do pretty well. And I think about Charlotte. Charlotte's awesome, dude. Charlotte sounds like a perfect away day if you're looking for a trip. And I've been to Charlotte in the last year. And I got to tell you, I left my car accidentally on the street with the windows rolled down. No one stole my stuff for like 6 hours. Charlotte's an awesome city. It's super safe. So go to Charlotte when Houston plays on the road soon. But to see success at that level and then go down to USL League 2, right? Vermont. The story last year with them winning the title, they had 2,500 people inside the stadium that were ticketed and another 3,000 outside the stadium watching the game from the hill at a converted high school stadium for the USL League 2 final. It was an incredible atmosphere. The entire city of Burlington, Vermont felt like they showed up for that moment. And it was a raucous, incredible game that saw the home team win. And it was just one of the best stories that Club 11 told from their tour across America. You have that happening. And then USL League 1, I talked about it earlier, Portland Hearts of Pine. I think they're sold out tickets through next season, next season.
That's awesome.
They haven't finished this season yet, and they've already sold tickets for next season, and everyone's bought them. So Hearts of Pine are doing that. Obviously, the return of the Cosmos is a cool story. There's great stories from top in Major League Soccer with Lewandowski and Messi and his son over in Los Angeles and the Galaxy. Like, there's so many great stories from MLS all the way down to USL League 2. So if you want to find them, you can go and find them because they're there to be found. And I think US Soccer is in a really great spot. It's how do you take that in a way that's not so corporate and commercial like Major League Soccer can be. Given Don Garber spent 17 years at the NFL before he took that job. He knows what corporations can do for a sports league. And he's absolutely turned that into an American sports league. And it should be, because it wasn't ready to be this European style league. But I'm betting we're getting pretty close to America being ready for the threat of relegation and the threat of your team falling apart, but also the joyous jubilation of promotion. And I talked to Sean McCauley about this, who is the manager of Indy 11, who is English. You know, he's been a part of teams on staff that have been promoted and that have been relegated. And he's talked me through those experiences. And, you know, even though you might get relegated, you're the leading candidate to get promoted the next season.
Exactly.
So like you had these yo-yo clubs, as I call them. I think that's an interesting term. These yo-yo clubs that go up and down. It's like, it sucks one year and then it's really awesome the next year. So you have you have the potential for that in American soccer. And I think that would be really, really fun. And we see that a little bit already in baseball, like these guys who come up to play for their Major League Baseball team for a couple of weeks and they get sent down to the minors and they get sent up to. So like we're already being desensitized in a way where like teams can go up and down, players can go up and down, and it'd be really great. So look, man, American soccer is not going to be, you know, a European level thing overnight, but the World Cup certainly helped. The big major stars in the Major League Soccer, the MLS as they call it in Europe, but it's really Major League Soccer, it's really MLS, as you know. Because like you have a league with Lionel Messi in it. And Lionel Messi, yes, came over to Miami a couple years ago, and this is a retirement tour, and he's did the David Beckham thing where he's going to kind of just coast off into the sunset. I don't know if you watched the World Cup this past summer. He's still probably the top 5 best player in the world right now, and at 39 years old.
He can still ball.
Yeah, he's incredible. I don't know if you know what a hat trick is, but he had one of those in a World Cup match.
Wild, huh? At 39.
At 39 in the same place that Patrick Mahomes is throwing touchdowns. So like it was a big deal. He became the all-time leading goal scorer at the World Cup this past summer. In the same place where Dak Prescott's going to throw 3 interceptions in the home opener for the Cowboys.
It's a different hat trick.
Yeah, different type of hat trick. You're right. Shut up. But the fact that the quality of Lionel Messi at this age playing in Major League Soccer matters. And Robert Lewandowski obviously has had a major career. He comes over to play for Chicago. Son, Daniel Sturridge in the league. Did I see that right? Who's he playing for? Is that a real name?
I'm confused.
Whatever.
I know. The Dynamo played Mueller yesterday.
Yeah, Thomas Mueller.
Vancouver.
He won a World Cup with Germany.
Yeah,
it's like
it's crazy.
Like, that's the level of quality that's in Major League Soccer is incredible. Like it's truly spectacular what Don Garber has been able to cultivate to get major stars to the United States. But the problem is, how do you need a soccer culture? Because people love the Premier League. People wake up on Saturday mornings. They watch the NBC coverage. They love what's going on over there. They have their sides. People love Arsenal and United. And for some reason, other people love Nottingham Forest. And they watch them on Peacock. You have Peacock? It's a good application, right? There's a lot of cool stuff on Peacock. The Gamebird Super League's on Peacock. Shout out to Amanda Vandervoort. People get up for that kind of stuff. So soccer is here, but it's a soccer nation, but you have to get it to where they watch American soccer. And I think that's the biggest question that needs to be answered. How do you do that? I don't know. Maybe you don't make people pay $9.99 a month for Apple TV. But that's just me.
That's the beginning of the problem, right? To fix the problem.
CBS, by the way, CBS does a fantastic job with like their soccer coverage with the Champions League. And obviously they do some USL stuff. I think CBS would be a great candidate, by the way, for Major League Soccer. And Kate Scott's really good. They already have Clint Dempsey.
That's true.
And why not? Right? Why not?
It's
not a bad studio host.
after that MLS contract is over, I'm pretty sure people are going to be fighting for it for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see.
MLS used to have to beg ESPN to renew.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, And people give us so much crap to Don Garber, and I understand that. And commissioners have the most thankless job in all of professional sports here in the States. But he has done a great job making this marketable and making 100%. This a relevant thing in American sports, because people now talk about their MLS team as a part of the city. When people talk to me about Charlotte sports, they talk about the Panthers, they talk about the Canes, or not really the Canes, it's a little bit down the road, but they talk about the Panthers, the Canes, the Hornets, and Charlotte FC. Like, it's now mentioned in conversation.
It's part of it.
Same thing in Nashville. They talk about the Titans, and they talk about Nashville SC along with the Predators.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing that's happening to the sport. I know Orlando City and Orlando Magic have a very tight relationship, being the only two sports teams. But you talk to a Dolphins fan, like a couple, probably before Lionel Messi, like, oh, we have a team here? That's cool. Oh, David Beckham, I know who that is. He played in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Now it's the Dolphins, the Heat, the Panthers, the Marlins, and Inter Miami. Like, it's all included in the conversation, which is really, really great thing. And New York City is in the same thing too. So massive shout out to what Don Garber has done for the league and for soccer in this country, making it an experience, making it cool. Because I remember being in Charlotte. It was a Charlotte FC home game, and people were at a brewery in their kits, couldn't get tickets because it was a sold out match, watching it at the brewery.
Yeah.
Like, what a moment, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That didn't happen 15 years ago for a hometown MLS team. Now it is.
It's wild.
That's a big thing. So continue on that success. I know I answered probably 4 or 5 times, and I answered for about 30 minutes.
No, but that's good. That's good. I mean, I think you have to be kind of like, you have to tell the story to kind of know where you came from to know where you're going. So it's part of it. I love that. It's part of it. Yeah.
That's good. I think I might have said that on some show at one point in time, trying to be philosophical, but I mean, I certainly have experienced that now.
Yeah. Right. And let me, to finish off the conversation, thank you again for tuning in. But we looked back at your life and what you have done since you were 8 till now. What is next for Riley James? What do you have on your checklist that you're like, hey, I mean, you kind of mentioned what you want to do, but just to, I guess, to put it out there, put it out into the cosmos. What is next for you as a person, as a media figure, as a, I don't know how we can put it out there, as a mogul in this communications. I don't know.
Sure,
hey, you never know. I'll be working for you one day.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, you'll have great benefits, and paid vacation. But
there you go.
You mentioned the Cosmos. I probably should have another Cosmos player on the show from New York. That's a good thing. but yeah, that's besides the point.
Right.
We had a really great show, by the way, with the owners and the general manager of the Cosmos. That was a really
great
cool
story.
one. So, yeah, they
Cosmos back is
revitalized
awesome.
that. Yeah, so that was one of the most successful shows that we've done with the United Soccer Lounge. But to answer the question, like, I want to continue the United Soccer Lounge and the capacity that's going. Obviously, we have really, really great and intriguing guests that are coming on the show over the next couple of weeks. And we just had our first show back was Duke Lacroix from Colorado Springs. He represented Haiti at the World Cup this past summer.
Nice.
And I think it's okay to tell the story that he told me. He told me that they were in Philly. They were going to play at Philadelphia Stadium, or the Link, I think is what the Eagles fans call it. And he was walking and he saw a bunch of police presence and the street was blocked off. And he's like, is this a concert? Like, what's going on? And then he, like, in the middle of him saying that out loud to himself, he's like, oh, that's the Brazilian world, like, that's Brazilian hotel. They're here for the World Cup. I'm playing in the World Cup. I'm playing against them tomorrow. And then he's like, I'm going to walk back to my hotel because this is freaking me out. So, like,
that's crazy.
That's a really great thing. That's the kind of story you get on the United Soccer Lounge. We try to be a fun place for these guys to do media, because they do a lot of media, right? Yeah. Media coverage of USL has really improved over the last couple of years since I've been in it. Great guys like Kyle Connell go and all over the country and tell stories like this. So it's not just me, right? I know it's a niche market, but there's a lot of really great creators doing stuff now. Yeah. So continuing to tell stories in the USL market, getting opportunities in Major League Soccer, the NFL, college football when I can, and doing my best to be able to keep journalism alive, because, like, it's a weird dying industry, sports journalism. I'm sure probably people have heard about the Washington Post. I had great friends that worked at the Washington Post. They killed that sports department. One of the most historic sports departments in the history of American journalism is now gone because the Washington Post determined it wasn't a big enough deal. And the New York Times killed theirs. They ended up buying The Athletic to replace it. But the New York, if you were a sports writer or whatever it is that people are now, because there's not really a lot of sports writers left, you wanted to work for the Washington Post and the New York Times. The two places that you go that were at the top of your dream job list are now dead. So the world's changing. I'm doing my best to try to change with it. It feels like something new every day that I have to learn and adapt to. And you got to be good at Instagram Reels. You got to be good at editing long form video. You have to be asking the right questions, but the clubs want to make sure that the right question is a little bit, more PR friendly than not. And you're being pulled in a lot of different directions. And I'm so grateful to the folks at Goals TV, because they do a tremendous job kind of promoting my show. Obviously, Eric Winaldo's the number one show on the network. I haven't played in 3 World Cups, Chris, so I get why his show is more popular than mine. Yeah,
you haven't at all?
I'm not Mbappe, dude. I haven't played in 3 World Cups at 27. Or Pele, who's, I think, won 3 World Cups by 27.
That's wild.
Shout out to the Cosmos. So where do I want to go? What do I want to be? I would just want to be present wherever the next opportunity is, to be able to tell stories and share this passion of mine for the sport that I love in the country that I love. And I think that's the best way to go about it. Whether it's in USL for another year or two, I'm down with that. This has been my favorite gig I've ever had in my entire life. It's going back to Major League Soccer to tell those stories of these big, high-profile players, mixing it up with the American internationals on the youth level who get their opportunities. I'm thinking of Sullivan over in Philadelphia. Him and Lionel Messi. I think Messi slapped him the other night. Like, that's a fun story to tell your kids one day.
Love tap.
I know where your loyalties lie.
My bias.
I was gonna, your allegiances, So, it's telling stories. So wherever that's needed and wherever I feel like my quality can be met with the right opportunity, that's where I want to be. So I don't want to, like, pigeonhole myself. Like, I want to be working, doing whatever in the next 5 years. No, I had a plan. I haven't followed a single bit of that plan, but it's led me right here to do this show on August 20th with you. So I'm happy about it. And me and my new girl, Ruby.
Shout out Ruby.
Ruby was just asleep, and now she's on camera, and she probably hates this. She's dead weight right now. But Wherever the next road takes us, I'm going to trust. And then hopefully follow the right path.
Nice. And just let us know where can the people find you? Where can we watch your show? Where can we get in contact with you if we need to? Tell us everything.
I'm not going to give you my address, but
your social
584. No. I don't actually probably need to memorize that. I think that's like the next thing I have to do as an adult is memorize my social security number.
Probably.
I haven't gotten that far yet. Again, I haven't had like a real job ever, so I haven't needed to give it out very much. That's good. Yeah, so you can find me on the internet. I read this at the end of my show every day, so it's great.
There you go. Practice.
I'm at Riley James IAC. Nope, that's not even the right account anymore. See, I'm not that good at this. I promise you. I've fooled you for the last hour and 30 minutes thinking I was okay. I'm at RileyJames.tv on Instagram, at RileyJamesTV on X or Twitter or whatever you call it these days. I don't really care what you do. There's an Instagram account just for our show. Nice. The United Soccer Lounge. It's at USL on Goals, GOLZ. The parent company is at goals.tv on Instagram, at goals_TV on X. Still working to get those to be the same. And then Goals TV has a really great YouTube platform, and we have guys like Eric Winola talk every couple of weeks about the things happening in Major League Soccer and U.S. soccer and around the world involving American players and coaches. Box to Box is a really great interview show. My boss, Jose Tellez, puts on, and he talks to really great people. Wake Up MLS is a good show covering the league on Goals TV. And then, my favorite show on the network, the United Soccer Lounge, hosted by Riley James, where we interview the best and brightest personalities across the USL. I've had dogs on the show. Nice. I've had coaches and owners on the show. I've had World Cup veterans on the show, Duke Lacroix from the men, Sydney Schneider from the women. She had this breakout World Cup in 2019 with Jamaica, where she saved a penalty from the Brazilian national team. Like, really just a spectacular story. We've had 120 episodes, and like I said, we have a really stacked lineup that's going to take us into the fall, into the postseason. So the United Soccer Lounge and Goals TV is a great thing, and you can hear more of my great talking voice there. The great part about that show is I talk the least amount of the people that are on it, so because I ask a lot of questions. So if you want to hear the stars of USL, that's where you're going to find it.
Awesome. Well, Riley, thank you so much, man, for coming on the show. I know it's maybe short notice, but I appreciate you coming in and honestly telling us your story, telling us everything that you had to share with us, and honestly, as much as you are younger than me, I look up to you in a sense, just because how professional you have been since I've met you, and I honestly think you're gonna do great things in the sport or just outside of the sport too. So we're not gonna put you in a box. But yeah,
that's no pressure, by the way. But like, I'll look up to you. Like no.
The professional.
Graham crackers for lunch yesterday. You shouldn't look up to me at all.
Make sure you keep peanut butter crackers on you at all times.
If I ever see JP Delacamera again, I know he's retiring, but if I ever see him again, I'm gonna tell him that story and pray he has some on him at that moment, so we can just correct
pull him out of his pocket.
the biggest mistake I ever made in my entire life, which is not taking a cracker from him. By the way, you said this is short notice. You asked me to do this in July, and it's the end of August. So I don't know about your world. Yeah. But short notice is asking me this morning.
Well, I didn't know what to say, so I said short notice.
I'm sorry for roasting you on your show.
It is what it is.
By the way, I want to ask you something before you get out of here. Are these usually an hour and a half, or did I just run the light?
So my first episode was I usually tell people 1 hour, and then if you guys want to stay longer, we can stay longer. First episode was 2 hours.
Okay, good. Okay,
you're good. I love long content form, like 3 hours conversation, 4 hours conversations. I'm here for it. But I think 1.5 to 2 hours is perfect.
That's a young man's game. 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm so used to doing 20 minutes.
I wouldn't survive 20 minutes. With Bayou City Soccer, we get to interview the players and coaching staff for the Dynamo and the Dash, and I can talk. So they literally, they haven't said this out loud, but basically I was pushed out because because I talk and I ask questions and I ask questions and I ask questions and so I know my place too, and I know that I'm not meant for it. So whenever they need me, I'm there. But I know, the other guys, Rudy, Dustin, Joey, Manny, they do a better job when it comes to sticking to the script and sticking to 20 minutes, 15. Because if it was up to me, like, we'll go a whole hour with one player and just talk about everything. Yeah.
Hey, you say that like I used to be like you. I used to be ambitious and talk.
I need to cut back.
I started doing 20-minute short form stuff. Dude, it's awesome. I say short form. Short form's not like 90 seconds according to these generation alpha kids, the TikTok generation are the worst kids on the earth that can't hold a phone without swiping for less than 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I realize I'm also probably part of the problem for that too. So that might be a little bit hypocritical. But yeah, 20 minutes, dude. Like I thought it was a struggle. Obviously, we went 30 for a while. I've got it down to 20. We're even closer to 15 these days because it's just an easy in and out, and it's easy to sell to very busy World Cup players and owners and guys named Kyle Martino, who was like, we don't really have a lot of time. Like, hey, it's 15 minutes. It's like, it's 15 minutes. Yeah, let's do that. That's a good time. But yes,
I'm learning. Yeah, I'm learning. Hopefully one day when I grow up, I'll do 15 minutes. As of right now,
skill, man. But it's also a skill to do like 3 hours. Like you hear the sports talk radio guys and they talk. They have like a 4-hour radio show. It's like that sounds so terrible. Yeah. But you have breaks and ads and stuff for those things. But like talking 4 hours straight, like you can on the YouTube, as they say. Like, guys, man. I get tired after doing like 2.
Yeah, I mean, if the conversation is awesome, I mean, you can just go forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that, it's one of those things that you learn. I know that I have to learn to do short, stuff just for the sake of, like you said, sell it to other people and have more guests come on. Because when I tell people, oh, how about an hour? And they're like, that's a long time. It's like, I know, I like to talk and I love to hear answers, like long answers where people can get detailed, and just stuff like that. I feel like that's where you get all the the good stuff,
Yeah. But hey, Hector Herrera, you want to do a 4-hour podcast together tomorrow?
I don't know. Short notice. But yeah, once again, man, thank you so much for jumping on. I appreciate your time and everything that you're doing, man. Like I said, it's awesome to see you being part of USL and kind of growing that space as well. I think a lot of people that follow the MLS and are getting into soccer, it's something new for them as well. And just having people like you and other, everybody that kind of does content for you. So it opens the eyes, especially for these small markets. And you see all these stories, like you were saying, like Hearts of Pine or I don't know, all these like smaller towns where, 3,000, 5,000
being one. Like Boise, Idaho is like this really incredible story.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Portland, and it doesn't get talked about maybe as much because Portland's doing so well, but Boise has the results to back it up too, because the guy that coaches them used to coach the San Diego Loyal, who was Landon Donovan's team. Nate Miller, we've had him on the show. He's a great guy. And when I talked to him, he hadn't had potatoes. That's like a sin, I think, in Idaho. So hopefully he's had potatoes and he's eating. He's probably eating well, and he's certainly getting a lot of points.
Full of carbs now.
Yeah.
But once again, want to shout out Bayou City Soccer for opening up the space so we can do the Cris P Show. Wherever the thing is.
It's up here near me.
Yeah,
at least on my screen.
Yeah, on my screen is like over the way over there.
Awesome. Where it's one of these two places. You see it.
It's in a corner somewhere. Make sure you go to the website BayouCitySoccer.net, where you're going to find everything and anything that we do soccer related here in the city of Houston. You can check out all of our podcasts that we do on Monday, on Wednesday, and then on Thursday nights here with the Cris P Show. It's the new addition to the Bayou City Soccer Network. And once again, make sure you follow the social media of Bayou City Soccer. You can just check them out everywhere that they at. And if you want to follow me and my dumb tweets and my cool pictures that I post on Instagram at Cris Putallaz, that is my full name, or Cristian Putallaz, but Cris Putallaz on the interwebs. What else? Oh, lastly, This is our new limited edition Bayou City Soccer shirt that we came out with.
It's sick, by the way. It's sick. It has all the matches from
I can't
Houston
turn around.
Stadium over the course of the summer.
It does say Houston Stadium up top.
Yeah, it was a sick shirt. I saw it on the internet because I follow Bayou City Soccer because I'm a supporter of the brand, and I would have very much been a part of Bayou City Soccer if I was, a child doing media in 2026. I didn't have this back then, so I had to do. I say I had to do MLS Aces was awesome, but I would have very much done this niche local Houston thing, because what you guys have started, it has turned into something that is of major notoriety for the Houston area, covering this team. There's a lot of great writers, obviously what you guys do, and then obviously the interview stuff, and now you guys branching off, having your own shows. Congratulations to you for getting a show, my friend. It's fantastic.
I'm a yapper, and they said yes, so this is what you get.
Hey, that's amazing. That's basically how I've gotten every single job I've gotten. It's like, hey, do you want to talk? Yeah. About what? We can figure it out later.
Let's just start talking, and then we'll get to it.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Stuff, man.
But yeah, we'll shut it down here. Thank you again, guys. Don't forget to follow everything everywhere. And yeah, man, it's an awesome conversation. Thank you again, Riley, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, thank you so
much.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.